Are you saying if I remember because you think I never got a good review?
I don't think you ever got a good review.
I did get a good review, and I
Yeah,
did get a Tim's card.
yeah,
Okay? Yeah.
and it happens when you tow your own family. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Nope.
Hey everyone, I'm Brad from Calgary.
This is Sean from Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm Terry from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey, this is Larry from Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and you're listening to the Towing Life Podcast.
Welcome to the Towing Life Podcast, where the ditches are deep, the trucks are loaded, but the drivers are not. I am your host, Toman G, and as usual, I am joined by my co-host, friend, and former co-worker, the man with very strong opinions himself, Mr. Plain Guy.
What is going on, G? What is going on?
Oh, a lot. It looks all different on the screen, and I'm concerned.
I'm hoping come audio time, this sounds just as good for you guys. For those of you that don't know, listening on the audio side, you'll see a little different on the visuals. We are working out some new software. So that being said, we keep trying to move forward and grow. And with that comes technical difficulties that we are starting to realize.
Get this all coordinated, especially in the wintertime. So
this winter has been nonstop. It's finally slowed down in my end. I don't know about your end, but in my end, it's slowed down a little bit the last 2-3 days. So hopefully the guys are getting some rest. Everyone will be good to go. It's supposed to be some plus weather this week.
Yeah.
So with that normally comes some snow as we start to get warmer. But here's hoping it holds off for now. So before we get too far into it, guys, if you haven't already, don't forget that you can reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. You can find us at www.towinglife.ca. You can email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook by searching at the Towing Life Podcast, and you can even call us at 249-666-2209. For the American callers, I'm not sure if it works for you guys. I've mentioned it before. If somebody listening wants to give it a try, let us know, or at least just send us a message if you have tried. We've gotten a couple messages on it. We want to make sure that the American listeners, you guys are actually killing the Canadian listeners at this point. You have slowly taken over. I feel like we're going to have to really start bringing some more American subject to the show with how much you guys are
advertising to our own country.
G's got the Canadian flag behind him, but yeah, I don't know if those are coming through, guys. So someone send us a message, let us know on the screen. They're all there if you're watching on the YouTube side. And
yeah, we got a fancy ticker down there.
We got a fancy.
While you're looking down there, you're already close to the comment section. So you might as well just put your comment in there, let us know how you're doing, and hit that like button. Well, if you're enjoying the video, if you're not, there's a button down there for that too. Every thumbs up or thumbs down helps us out.
Absolutely. I always forget the YouTube side. For those of you that don't know, G does the YouTube side completely. I take care of the audio, the social media, all that. So I always forget to mention the YouTube. If it doesn't involve me, I don't care. So, but don't forget, he's right. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, drop a comment. It really helps the algorithm, guys. So that being said, G, we're talking about that wonderful Canadian flag behind you. We're talking about that truck.
Yeah, that's actually a profile picture a lot of people have been using on most social media platforms from the Freedom Convoy. We touched on this a bit last episode about my personal experience going there. I have since went back. Still a beautiful sight when I was there last week. So with that being said, though, it's in the news almost every day now, which is good and bad in a way. And one of the key talking points they always bring up is how the local towing companies have all called in sick or said, we do not want to touch this.
Yeah, that is it. We've got an article from CTV News, which we will post in the comments in the description of the podcast. You will find it there. If you haven't seen it already, a lot of people are. The towing industry is pretty tight-knit, especially with social media. It's everywhere. But towing companies refusing to tow trucks at police request. Right from the article, local towing companies are rejecting Ottawa police requests for help towing Freedom Convoy trucks out of the downtown core. according to a senior police source. Well, the punctuation was not great in that sentence, and I murdered it, guys. The source told CTV News Ottawa that even if police decided to tow the trucks from the downtown streets, they have been clogging up for the past week. They wouldn't have enough tow trucks to do it. The source said police are considering launching a criminal investigation into whether intimidation of the tow truck companies is leading to their lack of cooperation with police. And I think that part is the most important part of that article.
So there's a couple of things I just want to say here before we dive too deep into this. This article was posted a couple days before the police put up concrete blockades. So they blocked off and made a safe zone. So I'm not sure how they were going to plan on towing trucks out of stuff that's already blocked off. But that's besides the point. To be honest with you guys, like taking a tow truck into the downtown core right now wouldn't be super easy. I made it through most of those streets towing a 20-foot trailer. Most of them are actually set up to be one ways, single lane access type thing. So it's not that bad other than the actual physical Wellington Street. But at the end of the day, this is a towing show, so we should not dive too far into this topic. We will just cover the towing side of things that relates to us towers. So
Exactly.
like these tow trucks, the logistics of them, it's not going to work. And who are you towing? I know a lot of companies say no to private calls. Hey, someone's blocking my driveway. It's the homeowner calling. And the tow companies don't want to get involved because, okay, I'm towing someone's car who I haven't met, who I probably don't have contact information for, and who's paying me.
Right. So a lot of companies, what they'll do, and we've done in the past as well, is they will advise the customer to contact the police or contact the bylaw, who will then contact them. But here's the case. They have contacted the police. The police are reaching out to tow trucks, and tow trucks are saying no. So the question should be asked is, first of all, should companies be removing this truck? This is a political matter. As much as we want to stay on the towing side of it, and I am all for, this is a political matter. Do towing companies, are they refusing because they agree with the convoy? Are they refusing because the trucking industry feeds them more money than the police do? Right? Yeah. These are big things. So first of all, to say that they're investigating for possible, intimidation tactics that are refusing, define intimidation on that. Are group members reaching out and threatening these companies? I don't think so. I think a lot of these companies understand that towing these vehicles would be bad for business. It would be terrible for business, regardless of where you stand on the political side of this.
You're going to be towing vehicles that could possibly be your customers already. If you are local to that area, you never know. Even if you're not local, trucks came from all over the place. So you could be towing potential customers to an impound lot or whatever location the police have specified. And then you got to worry about the social media backlash, because obviously as soon as they see movement, people are going to pull out their phones and start recording or live streaming.
Yep.
So now you're going to have your big flashy truck with a bunch of police detaining people or doing whatever with the people, because I'm sure people aren't going to like what they see.
To it. Yep.
Yeah, they might try to do a person chain and block in front of your truck, anything like that. Yep. So now you're all over social media. You're being blasted as trying to remove this convoy, which a lot of people are behind and support it. You might be losing potential customers, and you're putting your equipment and your operators in a dangerous situation.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And for what to gain, right? Yeah. Again, I think... I honestly think that the news sources at time put out are, spots like that just to make people hate the convoy. I've said it from the beginning. I stay out of it. Do I support things? Yes. Do I disagree with things? Absolutely, 100%. But this, from a towing business side, just doesn't make sense. And it's not because of direct reach from these members. It is from, their personal interest in the industry. Yeah. Again, if you're a company with non-police contracts, and that brings me to another point. I don't know how that would work with the contracted company in the city. It's public knowledge on who it is. But that being said, how are they handling this? Because if the police have asked them and they've said no, they're the ones I feel bad for, because that is a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, they've got a legal binding document that say your wheels have to roll when we call.
Now,
But now you've got a very out of the usual situation to where you want to say no to for all those reasons we just specified, but you're contractually obligated to do it.
yeah, you want to see intimidation? That's the definition of intimidation right there, where we will pull work from you if you don't do this. And I think that is what's coming.
We have seen what this can do to a company. There is a post that circled on social media that Citywide Towing out in Alberta was going down to remove these trucks.
In Coots, yeah.
Yeah, at the Coots border there. Now, Citywide Towing is owned by an LLC, so a giant or a bigger corporation, so they can't just publish something on their Facebook and say, no, we're not. They can't just hit them with an automatic rebuttal. So it was a rumor floating around there for at least a day and a half. And I Googled them. And I noticed they had a 1-star review. Now, I scrolled down into the comments or the reviews, and a lot of them were, you're towing this convoy. Why? So they've just lost all their social media presence. Everyone's lost faith in them who supports and is behind this movement. And I really do hope that they can fix that, get those removed, because by what I think is you just got to start a whole new Google page, whole new Facebook at that point, and start fresh. And hopefully those people don't come back and they get the proper information that you didn't actually do that in the first place to help clear your name.
Yeah, no, it's true. And think so. That was the, impact that was done on a company's, reputation based on a rumor. That wasn't even them towing the vehicles. That was just based on a rumor.
They went down and they were sitting in a town, I think 6 miles away, and they winched someone out of the ditch and they were heading down to provide services for said blockade. I think I saw one post of, oh, there's another local tow company that sent trucks to that. And they got put on blast on social media as well for that people thought they were going down and towing them, which was kind of funny. There was like a 12-ton wrecker parked in front of a semi, and they're like, oh, that thing's going to tow that. No, it's not.
Hey, our customers we've seen before don't know much sometimes about things. So, it's not surprising to me. But my other question I have is, who's paying for it? Meaning, if you do find that company that will go down there and do it, and if you are that company that does it, I'm not going to judge you. Business is business, right? But who's paying for it? Is it going to be, I'm guessing, just like most private parking now, there is a state of emergency that's been declared in the city. So, something could, that could change things because there's a lot more resources that get opened up when these kind of situations happen. But if the idea is that the owner of the truck is going to pay for it, that's going to open a whole nother can of worms, because companies are going to be fighting to get paid. Are they going to charge? How much do they charge? It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I do feel that there is going to be a company that goes in and does it. I do feel that it is going to be under a contract that is already in place. And I do feel that there will be some intimidation involved. And I feel for that company, because I think a lot of them do not agree with this, do not want to be the ones to have to do it, but they're going to have to. Now, the city of Ottawa has come out and said that they own a small fleet. I'm guessing it's a small fleet of heavy tow trucks. I did not realize the city of Ottawa had that. I know there are many cities that do have their own tow trucks. They use them mainly to tow city service vehicles, buses, possibly some maintenance vehicles, all that kind of stuff. So they do have a small group of trucks. I
saw a picture circulating on social media of city of Ottawa tow trucks, and another picture of Toronto.
I've seen Toronto's before. Yeah,
and I think it was for the Toronto one. Their heavy tow is like a 25-ton straight truck.
I'm pretty sure I've seen bigger than that.
Have you?
I'm pretty sure I've seen Toronto have.
I saw it was a Freightliner chassis with, I think it was just a small 25 on it.
Nah, I feel like I've seen some city of Toronto that are 35-ton or up. I couldn't be positive. I know they don't tow all their buses, as we've seen that runaway bus that they had on the highway.
But we're also seeing farm equipment here now too.
But you look at certain companies, and there's plenty of those companies in the Ottawa area that have the resources to move anything if they want to. The
Yeah.
question is at this point is if they want to, and I think they don't. I think that's what's coming down to is that they don't.
So let's say you see a combine down there. I know we've got medium, large size tractors down there. What if someone drives a combine down there with the dual tires? So now you're into hoisting this combine up, peeling the tires off, getting a float into there, and floating this combine out, plus then the tires. That's going to be a massive bill.
Part of me says that you obviously don't want to be the first company to do it, or even possibly the only company to do it. But part of me says, God, there's going to be some fun challenges to go on. And most towers, if you have a passion for the industry and you think of that, how am I going to tow this convoy? I know a lot of guys that just gets them going because, I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? It is that challenge that we are always chasing. So I'm sure there's a couple guys crazy enough to go down and get a combine out of downtown Ottawa.
When all the rumors and news started coming out, they were telling all the drivers to pull their cage bolts. And then
we carry cage bolts.
I'm sorry?
We have cage bolts.
I know. But and then there's a rumor of them stationing AZ police officers down there, and they're going to drive the trucks out. So then they started saying, pull your service lines off your rear brakes. Like pull all your air feeds to your rear brakes. So now there's no cage bolts and there's no air to them. They're locked up. Now you physically can't drive the truck and you've got no cage bolts. So it'll take a little bit longer for the tow truck driver to load up your vehicle. Now, heavy towing isn't a quick hook and buck, especially if you've got 2 cage brakes or remove shafts or whatever. And you've got a crowd of people down there. It is a logistical nightmare to whatever company comes in and tries to do it. Like it almost feels like the city has to be empty for operators to be doing this safely.
Well, I don't think they have to be empty. I think the police have to create zones and everything. I'm hoping it doesn't get to that point.
Yeah,
but I don't think that the city has to be empty. The police can contain. That's the biggest problem the police are having right now is they don't have the amount of officers they need to contain. And this thing, even over this weekend, we've seen is continuing to grow. There's only going to be more trucks down there. I can tell you somebody will get a payday out of this. Mm-hmm. If it comes to the point where somebody has to tow it, I mean, guys, if there was ever going to be collusion in the towing industry for fixing prices, hell, you guys got all the power right now to do it. I tell you, you have all the power right now to do it.
And whatever tow company does go in there, I personally can't blame them. Us towers, even if you're a tower down there and you see a tower come in and start removing things with a police escort, you can't be hard on the guy. He's there to do a job just like the police officers are. Someone said, we'll do it for this price that you're going to offer us. And after these trying times, a payday's a payday.
Yeah. And, the driver himself probably won't be the one making the decision to be there in the first place. There's a good chance that decision will be made higher up because, if they're going to send that much of a fleet down. So anyone that's down there, guys, this has started off as peaceful. Let's keep it that way. I know it's starting to get a little testy in the times. I'm sure we'll be back on this next week on the episode to see where things, because, by next week's time, I'm sure we're going to be closer to an answer on what is going on in Ottawa. But, respect everyone that's out there. Respect any trucks that you do see down there. Let's keep this as straight as we can. So that being said, when we talked about drivers, the driver that would be down there might not want to be down there. There's one thing I want to talk to you about, and I want your guys' opinion on what you're doing yourself as well when it comes to driver incentives. Okay. So what I mean is, yes, drivers go out and they do their jobs. There's hourly drivers, there's commission drivers. As a commission driver, the more work you do, the more money you make. Hopefully. Hopefully. As an hourly driver, there's obviously, when it comes to management side of things, there's different hurdles, right? Because with an hourly driver, and we've discussed this in previous episodes, but with an hourly driver, you can get the mentality of the least work I do in the day is the better. Yeah. Meaning you don't have to, you can't sit around the shop and do nothing all day. But if I can pump out 8 calls and that guy does 10, hey, I made just as much money, or, what I mean? I worked less hard in that same period of time. So driver incentives are great ways with hourly employees to bring in things, right? And to help motivate them. We've had some, even as commission drivers, I don't know if you remember, good reviews right? We worked for a company that every time there was a good review that went on Facebook, Google, by email.
Are you saying, if I remember, because you think I never got a good review?
I don't think you ever got a good review.
I did get a good review, and I
Yeah.
did get a Tim's card. Okay.
Yeah. And it happens when you tow your own family. Okay. That's all I'm gonna say. No stranger has ever given G a good review, but his mom gave him the best review ever. He was the sweetest boy, I think was somewhere along the lines in that review.
Uh-huh.
But no, you've definitely done your fair share. Your customer service at times is phenomenal, and I use at times. I think for all of us, when there's tough days, it's at times. But yeah, no, $5 Tim's card or Dunkin' Donuts for our American listeners. Little things like that can go a long way for the driver, especially in these busy times. Where I am, we brought out a program, something new we were trying, and what it is, it's like a driver performance tracker. That's what I call it. So what it is there is points associated for certain tasks, right? The tasks, I believe, are tire changes, because God knows we all hate T-Wonderfuls. Tire changes, more than 10 calls in a day, right? Because more than 10 calls in a day is a bumping day.
Yeah.
It could be 10 boosts. You're always going to get those little outliers, but the dispatchers tend to take care of that kind of stuff. It's all evenly spread out, but over 10 calls a day is worth some points. Covering a shift for somebody is worth some points. You don't lose anything for giving up a shift, but you gain for covering a shift. We did have to make it clear to the drivers that you guys cannot just keep covering each other's shifts all week so that you keep getting points. It's not how it works. As soon as we came out with it, I realized there was an easy way to rig that system. And then there is negatives. One of the negatives is I'll do a spot check. And if you have at the end of your shift, during your shift is one thing because stuff's going crazy. But if you park a truck at the yard at the end of your shift at any time under half a tank, you're going to lose some points.
Yeah.
If you have a damage-free month, you're going to gain some points.
Do you lose points if you cause damages?
No, you don't get the damage-free month, which is a bonus at the end of the month. Right? It's a hefty enough point pool. So if you don't do damage, if you do damage, it pretty much eliminates your chances of being a top-rated driver that month.
Yeah.
And there's different ways you can look into it. Depending on the size of your fleet, you can go, hey, we're taking, the top 3, or we're taking the 1, or we're taking, depending on the size of your fleet. Late for shifts, right? Knock somebody off for being late for shift. You lose some points. You got to balance it out because you don't want it to be a punishment program. Meaning you do not want it to be that if you do this, you're losing this. If you do this, you're losing this. I believe in rewarding good behavior among drivers and good performance, right? So that's why the taking somebody's shift, the doing over 10 calls, the tire change, I don't know what else we have. Anything else you think you could add to that would be a worthy positive, right? We don't want negatives.
Yeah. Like I personally can't call on that, but that is a perfect good example of rewards, right?
Yeah.
For driver incentives.
Yeah.
Now, I've worked with a company before where a driver incentive was how many wrecks you can bring into the pound.
Mm-hmm.
We will send you away for the weekend for the drivers that has the most amount of wrecks. Mm-hmm. Right? So all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'll go and pull in those wrecks. So now you're going to, if you got a roadside call on or a cash call on, and you even see a wreck, you're not going to call it out to your fellow drivers because that might be the wreck that sends him into the lead.
I was worried more that your operators would take advantage of people. And what I mean by that is if you are an operator that runs on a roadside company, how many times have we gotten where you get a call for a roadside to get to an MVC and you get there and you flip them to the yard, right? You go, hey, this is what it is. This makes more sense. This is what we do. Bring it to the yard.
This for a reason. Let's use it.
And that's fine until I will not purposely go to a wreck and go to, that 92 Cavalier that wants to use their roadside to go to the body shop and they're at fault because they ran the stop sign and go, hey, you should bring it back to my yard. Right? Because that guy does not have collision on the car. That car, first of all, you're going to end up owning.
It doesn't
make benefit to anybody. Yeah.
You're going to end up owning that car and having to scrap it.
And all you're doing is screwing over the guy. because there's still going to be an outstanding tow bill. So, I worried more with a system like that you would have those guys that would just be ruthless and not care, not take the little bit of time. Towing is notorious. Yes, get paid what you are worth, but towing is notorious for helping people out. And so, yeah, when that guy doesn't have collision on his car and is not at fault or is at fault and has already called you out there with his roadside, don't flip him to the yard.
No,
there's no reason to do it. Take the hit on that one. You've agreed to these roadside rates, or your company did, and I know they're not great, and I know they're not, what they're worth. But at the same time, don't screw somebody over in that sense. We had a story of a driver, I won't name any names, who about 3 days before he started working with a company I knew, got in an accident, called his roadside to have his vehicle towed to the body shop. The driver, upon scene, talked to him, figured out what happened. Somebody had backed into it. He was covered. They were going through insurance. He was covered. He was not at fault. His car was parked on the road. So flipped him to the yard. He brought it to the yard. It went to the body shop. 3 weeks it took the insurance to get that car to the body shop. The body shop wrote off the car and blamed it on the tow bill to this driver, who is now an employee.
Huh.
Yeah. So this driver called in furious, going, because you wanted to put some money in your pocket, I got screwed because my car that I just put a bunch of money in, unfortunately, doesn't matter because they're writing it off.
Wow.
Now, that is a one-off in a million.
Yeah.
Right? Because everything got sorted out. The body shop was actually spoken to. The body shop reran the submission to the insurance minus the tow bill, because it was a guy from the company. So, hey, if that's going to be the difference between writing the car off or getting him his car back, let's see what happens. The vehicle was still a write-off.
Wow.
The insurance still deemed it a write-off, even without the tow bill in there. So for the body shop, first of all, to come out and blame it on the tow company.
Yeah, that's pointing fingers.
And then to pass that on to the driver, who, being a newer driver, of course, would take that information and go, yeah, it's definitely the towing company's fault.
Yeah.
Hasn't been around the industry long enough to really see what happened, or how the business works. Miscommunications like that, does that ever make the towing company look like trash?
Did that employee stick around after that? Or did he say, screw you guys, I'm going home?
He did not. He did not. Nothing against them. I think there was more to it than that. But at the same time, you got to understand his frustration.
Yeah.
So no ill respect, no ill will towards the guy, but real situations, body shops working against the towing industry. Surprise, surprise. Everybody works against the towing industry at times. But yeah, but I worry, like I said, going back to your incentive program you talked about, that it would create those kind of problems where, you would, little old lady that doesn't have collision, you're going to bring her back to the yard, and all that's going to do is put her in a financial hole when you've already gotten the call through a roadside.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, it's better to get paid a little bit now than waiting for nothing, for something that's never going to come. Right? You bring it back to your pound, depending on how you get paid. You won't get paid out on that bill until it is released.
Yeah.
I know that's how some companies work.
Yeah.
So you bring this 92 Civic into your pound that Betsy over the road put into the ditch and went through a fence.
Yep. So
now you've got this car sitting here. You got to wait for the insurance. That's 3 days worth of storage plus your tow bill. Then they say, no, it's a write-off. So now it's another 2 or 3 days before you can get Betsy to come back to the pound. You show her the tow bill, or hopefully you told her on the phone so she didn't have to make a trip. You're like, well, if they wrote off my car and I'm not covered, that's a $2,000 bill that I can't afford, and the car's not worth that.
Yep. And now that will happen. There is times where you get the best information you can off the members, right, and then they come back a week later after the car's been sitting there and say, yeah, I talked to my insurance, it's not covered. It's like, well, there's only so much we can do to help you in that situation.
We normally, if it's been a short time, we normally waive the storage at least and get them to pay the tow bill. Just
to get it paid. And that's what a lot of companies will do. They'll get them just to make sure, the primary concern is getting the tow bill paid. That way the driver gets paid. Yeah. Right. The storage, although it is, it's accounted in there on how you judge your income and everything else at the end of the year. And there's costs to go along with having storage. I do believe if it's well-balanced storage yard, it'll be profitable enough that the odd one that you might have to write off in that situation, you can afford to eat, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to be doing it for every car out there.
And I know there's been some companies we work for, or that I'm sure other people out there, they have very small impounds, right? So if you
those are
bring
always the best. Those companies were phenomenal because those companies, when you have a very small impound, it forces you to stay on top of it and keep stuff moving because you need the space. That company that you and I worked for, the cars didn't stay long.
No.
Cars never stayed long.
Yeah.
They had them good and gone real fast.
And if we had a 45-day, we'd be like, why is this vehicle here for so long?
Yeah. It was surprising to see a vehicle for 45 days.
Yeah.
As you get into the bigger yards, though, it's the problem. You have the space. You allow the space. Okay. This week, if we can't get some of this stuff out, not the end of the world. We still got plenty of space. And then suddenly you have a Sanford and Son scrapyard. And it's tough, right? And that's growing pains. That's companies growing, right? Small companies, small staff. You got one dispatcher doing a company of 3 drivers, and you got one dispatcher doing a company of 7, 8 drivers. That's a big difference to of load put on and trying to manage all that. So, it's definitely tough, but it definitely you want to keep on the pound. You want to keep on the pound, and the driver incentives. This performance thing we have at the end of the month. Whatever driver has the highest points tallied at the end of the month, we do gift cards. We do $50 gift cards. A lot of times of their choice. We've been doing a lot of fuel cards, especially with the price of fuel right now. It's too much of a pain to go get those Visa MasterCards because then you're paying an activation fee and everything else on them. But
and to be honest with you, you're handing out gift cards to your employees for doing a good job. Yep. You're promoting positive positive vibes and positive things within the company. You're not putting drivers against each other, other than just
to work harder,
to be better.
Yeah, that's what it is. You want to beat the fellow driver, work harder, and work harder. Take those tire changes when they come in. Ask for them, right? Do as many calls. Don't should probably send a flatbed for this. Don't at the same time, it's not a big enough number that it's worth risking damage in that.
No.
But it's a big enough number that it, what I mean? A nice little bonus at the end of the month that it encourages you to put the time in. So,
and realistically, what does it cost the company for owner's point of view? If you're looking at this and you're trying to implement something, you're like, okay, even if I can get these drivers to go out and do 1 or 2 extra calls a day, that's bringing you in more money, right? And then at the end of the month, a $50 gift card is a tax write-off.
It's a tax write-off, and it's $600 a year. Yeah. You don't think that, by pushing them to work that little bit more, and if drivers are actually taking it
by choice.
Yeah, by choice. Again, it's not forcing them to do anything dangerous or anything, right? It's not that high of a value to them that it's, I got to win that $50 gas card. I'm going to go, flat toe this BMW.
Hopefully you're paying your drivers more enough than they absolutely need that $50 gas card.
I've always said if a driver is refusing work, you're paying them too much. You must make too much money if you can afford not to do work. But no, it's $600 a year, and those drivers, if you take care of them, will definitely bring you back that $600.
And it's something like that in an industry that we're in might keep drivers, right? Because right now, the shortage of drivers, it's not out of the blue to see one company say, "Hey, the grass is greener over here, buddy."
Yeah, a lot of times it isn't, but yeah,
it's the same pile, just in a different location.
Yeah, grass is grass.
Yeah,
the towing industry is the towing industry, but no, it's true. You know what? We talk a lot around the shop, and a lot of the older operators. We go, this next generation, they're not us. They don't run the hours they do. Now, I'm not saying all of them, because we've had some amazing young operators, on the show. Right? We had Cass. Without saying she could outwork me, she'd give me a run for my money. There's no doubt about that. But a lot of them are not what we used to do. We used to do some crazy 4 or 5 nights in a row on call, back in, and these guys now it's one night a week and every 3rd weekend. And it's, oh my God, it's so much. And it's, we keep sitting there going, they're not like us. They're not like our generation of tower was. And then we try and change that. We try and go, we want to make them like us. Well, the fact of the matter is, guys, they aren't. They just aren't. So by trying to make them is doing no good. Learn to work within what this next generation is looking for. What are they looking for? They're looking for more time off. They're looking for that break away. So give them that, and when they come back, work them hard, and they will work for you. But it's trying to change it back to the old way. Towing is evolving. The world is evolving as we're seeing all this change happening, especially since, in the last 2 years have been crazy for the amount of change that's happening. We got to keep adapting to it. And I think that is one way to keep drivers engaged, keep them happy, and hopefully keep them productive and on your side.
So one thing we're really seeing right now, especially with the Convoy, getting back to that, is brand association. And now what I mean by brand association is, let's say you're towing a beer truck, and now someone sees you towing that beer truck, and they're going to affiliate in the back of their mind, depending on how often they see you towing that beer truck, your brand with this beer truck. Now, that's a very oversimplified,
Simplified. Wow, I can't even do it. Simplified. There we go. Wow.
simplified.
Ouch. Cut that.
It's an overgeneralization of what it is. But we're seeing, doubling back to the citywide thing, their name got affiliated with the Convoy in bad press. So now their brand awareness has gone up, but their brand approval rating has gone way down. And we're seeing that a lot more with the age of social media, where you can get canceled. People can boycott you for whatever reasons, whether you're in the wrong or in the right, because people will just do things without thinking, without research, and they just go out on a limb, and it can really damage your brand, which could damage your company, damage your profits. It's a domino effect. And unfortunately, in the years that we're in, your online presence is a big factor to whether your company is going to grow and thrive or stay small and potentially die. Right? Especially if you're in an area with a dwindling population for whatever reason, your company is not going to survive. And is your online presence really going to help? No. Some of these bigger companies in the city where they have multiple competition, like multiple other companies fighting for these, you have good reviews, you put yourself out there, people see your nice, bright, flashy trucks, they're more likely to go with you. But when you have multiple options and they're like, that guy did this that I don't agree with, I'm never going to go with that guy, and I'll go with this guy.
Yeah. And it is an unfair way to hurt a company by any association. It could be good or it could be bad, right? You want to be that company that is associated with doing a kid's birthday and bringing a heavy truck by. People remember that. Hey, that's the company from the TV show. Hey, that's the company from Johnny's birthday. Hey, that's the company from whatever, right? The brand association goes both ways. And I think it's important for companies to really push that. Get involved. We talked about it before. Get involved with your community, right? Community programs and reaching out for kids that, some kids or families reach out. Hey, little Timmy's having a birthday Saturday. Could you bring a heavy truck by? Don't brush it off so fast. Make sure to get out there. And I think most guys are. I think most companies, I'd like to know the company that says no to little Timmy turning 3 years old, because you might be a special kind of asshole. But I think most companies are doing it, but never be afraid to take that and try and take the initiative to get yourself out there more. Don't wait for these community groups to reach out to you. Reach out to them. Hey, Ribfest is a big thing in a lot of Ontario, right? See if you can get involved with Ribfest and put on a display there. I know you need to have the available resources. You need to have, the workers to do it. You need a lot of stuff to do it. But if you can reach out to them, and that'll help your brand, your brand association big time.
Like the Ribfest thing would be like a weekend long event where you could potentially put your boom up in the air and hang a flag or hang a banner off.
Plus, you get to eat ribs.
This is true. But on a smaller scale, in the wintertime, a lot of companies and communities do like a food drive. Rent out your back seat for that drive, or rent out a flatbed for that drive. And by rent, I mean donate your truck, donate a driver's time or whatever. And now every time someone comes to that event, they see your name on that truck, and they've already got good vibes and good deeds in their head coming to donate food, and now they're going to associate that feeling with your brand more, with your
Yep.
logo on the door,
Yep.
right? And we're getting into, I don't want to sound like a Joe Rogan podcast here, but we're getting into the more mind stuff to where it's not just on the surface. Now you're affiliating deep down in someone's actual feeling and well-being of, this is the brand that makes me feel happy, because they have associated themselves with all these happy things I also do.
Right.
And that can go negatively in the media now as well.
Yeah. No.
And it's very easy to fall into that narrative of that, where, oh, well, they've never done me wrong personally, but I feel, or I've heard that they've done this person wrong as well.
Yeah. No.
So now even though they might have my business, they don't anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's a slippery slope. Social media, anyone can take a camera out at any point, grab a video, grab a photo. And, like I said, a lot of times that are used for bad more than good. There might be the odd good story that comes out. Somebody grabbed a camera as a tow truck guy was helping, an old lady cross the street or something. But more often than not, especially with the towing industry, especially in the States, I find where towing is still, I feel like it's gotten a little more respectable in Canada outside of some of the bigger cities that are still struggling. Not that they're saying they're not professionals up there, but, there is a lot of gong show things going on. But I feel like in the States, you still see a lot more. Seeing videos of guys dragging cars out. Actually, I seen one out of, it was New Brunswick, or maybe out West Alberta somewhere, where a guy was dragging a car by a chain behind a flatbed out of an alleyway. I don't know what this guy was trying to do. I'd love to speak to him. If you were the driver from that video and you somehow come across this podcast, reach out to us. If you guys haven't seen it, damn it, if I would have known we were talking about this with all this new fancy app we have, we could have played the video.
Yeah.
But it is a guy on a flatbed with a car on the back, and he had this car in the alley, which looked accessible. Like, it looked like he could just put his wheel lift on it and pick it up.
It wasn't blocking the fire lane either, because
I
he
don't
was
really
in the
know
fire
what the
lane.
deal was, but it was locked up, and he hooked the chain. And the worst part is he almost ran it into a building, a tree, and everything else, all because he hooked the chain on the wrong side of the car.
Yeah.
If you would have hooked it to the other side of the car, it would have more centered out in that laneway. But,
and the wheels were locked. It wasn't in neutral, so the wheels turned all the way to the left, and then the car kept plowing towards the wall.
Yeah.
And
that's one of those examples of somebody taking out a camera to record something that did not do your company any good. I don't know what the company was. I don't know if you could see it, but if you're that driver, please reach out to us.
What were you trying to do?
I just want to know.
Game plan in your head, please.
It can be private. We won't bring it up on the show. We won't mention your name. We won't mention your company. I just want to know what you were trying to accomplish in that video.
Yeah. In your mind, that could have been the best scenario, because we weren't there. We couldn't see what was wrong with the car, and it just didn't go as planned, and it was caught on camera. Or was this an intentional joke because Buddy in the back was recording?
Yeah, maybe scrap car or whatever. Screw it, and drag it out here. So if you are that driver, or you guys know that driver, find that driver for us. That is this week's homework. We're going to send you guys home with some homework every week now. Let's make this podcast some real work. You can go to www.towinglife.ca. There is a contact us section there. You can email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com. You can find us at the Towing Life Podcast on Facebook, or you can call us at 249-666-2209. If that is you or your buddy, please be sure to reach out. We want to know what is going through your head in that situation.
Even if you're not that guy, or you don't know that guy, feel free to reach out as well. We always like hearing from our people out there that watch this and listen to us, because without you guys out there, this wouldn't be possible.
Good chance, actually, on the social media. I did mention out this week, over 5,000 downloads on the podcast. You guys are absolutely killing it. It's another milestone. 10,000 is the goal. We've been at it for 6 months. I think we will do that 10,000. We are 6 months. Episode 26 came out last week. That is half a year the Towing Life podcast has been going on. Half a year, G. You and I have been doing this.
Now, feel free to go back and watch some of our previous episodes and podcasts. It's worth it.
Some of them are worth it. There's always going to be some not so great moments in there, but I think there's been a lot of good times. Actually, you and I were just joking about that, how we seen each other last week, this week. I don't remember what day it is. You'd have to remind me. And It was the first time we've seen each other in what?
At least 2.5 years.
At least 2.5 years. We've been doing this show for 6 months, ladies and gentlemen. We talk regularly. The first time we've seen each other in 2.5 years. So
I see you damn near every week, man, but
yeah.
not face to face.
Not face to face. So that being said, thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you guys for all the downloads. I can't wait. We are coming back again next week. We will get into the deep and dirty of the towing industry. I'm sure this Freedom Convoy is going to bring us plenty more news to talk about. So I'm going to steal it from them this time. On behalf of myself and my main man, Towman G, thanks for coming out. We will see you on the next one. Take care.
Toodles.
The things that we figure out along the way of this show are... We are getting behind the time in technology, and I remember when I was at the top of technology.
I got the technology award in grade 8.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. That is going to be great.
Oh boy, what did I sign up for?
Just adding to the Easter egg for the end of the episode, eh? I don't know if this is going to kick us. It might.